So many stories. A week ago, I asked Athos Sirianos to give us a lowdown on what was happening in the world of football, the World Game. And Athos is back again to give us some more details. It's been a big week, and more importantly, you started the morning this morning with an opportunity to reflect on one of the great coaches of the past, a man called Dr. Joseph Englos, who we found out only yesterday has passed away at the age of 84. Did you get a lot of feedback from various agencies and people who remembered the great man?
Yeah, well, a lot of people based out of Sydney, George, because that's where he did a lot of his coaching here in Australia, with Prague, with New South Wales, and then of course that brief stint with Australia. A lot of the people who reached out said exactly the same thing. He made the game simple, he inspired so many, and you saw it everywhere he went. He left an incredible footprint, an incredible legacy. Not only did he go to the big clubs, to your Aston Villas and to your Celtics, but he travelled to Southeast Asia, to Oman, to these countries as well.
As Nick Hughes discovered and added to the program this morning, Nick Hughes on FNR, Football Nation Radio, where you and normally Ed do the breakfast program, you and Nick did it this morning. And Nick was astonished that Joseph Englos was the first international coach to actually come into the English First Division and make a difference. And he was the man who took over Aston Villa, which was a huge club in Britain at the time. And as we see now with its re-emergence in the Premier League, again, a club capable of anything. And he was the first. Before Jose, before Klopp, before Guardiola, before everybody. It's an amazing footprint that he has established for himself. The world of football will be much poorer for his loss. We lost Frank Arok last week, Frank Parsons. Some great names have gone and have left us, but their legacy, what they passed on, will remain forever and ever. Let's talk about the EPL, which continues to shock almost each and every week, if not each and every day, because there are so many games coming, and some of them are FA Cup games, some of them are Carabao Cup games, but these were Premier League games this morning, and you should take over. What happened at Old Trafford?
A significant upset happened. We thought we had seen one of the upsets of the season when Burnley took on Liverpool and gave the Reds their first defeat in Anfield in over a year. And the United fans were quite happy. They were quite cheery that Liverpool had slipped down the pecking order. Only for Sheffield United, who at times couldn't buy a win this season. They're stuck to the bottom of the ladder.
2 or 3 weeks ago, they hadn't won a game.
They've been rooted to the relegation zone all season, and they've come up and defeated Manchester United at 2-1. United equalised, and everyone thought, okay, here we go. They're going to steamroll them, but Sheffield held their ground. They scored a winner, which did take a mighty deflection, but they're all worth the same nonetheless. And then naturally, they held on for dear life and got the 3 points.
Mate, it's like golf. It's how many, not how did you get there.
Yeah.
Extraordinary stuff. Liverpool has got a huge game coming up tomorrow, and it plays one of its feared rivals. Liverpool fans will say, not much fear, we're only playing Spurs and we're playing at their home ground. There are no fans, nothing to worry about. Yes or no?
Well, this was a game a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, that saw the two top teams go head to head.
Yes, yeah.
They were 1 and 2 a few weeks ago. So it's crazy how much can change over the course of 5 or 6 weeks. Now these two sides are playing off for a spot in the top 4 at the moment. The title race is still very close, so the 3 points in this game are absolutely huge.
Manchester City, though, is making a big statement. They've gone on a huge run. And the game the other day where they thumped West Bromwich Albion, they did it without Kevin De Bruyne. They did it without Aguero, who hasn't been there. We haven't sighted him all year. I think he's been on the sideline. That's the closest he's got to actually running onto the pitch. What are we to say? Are all the cobwebs now out of the way, and it could be City that's going to not only announce itself, but make the go and bring another title to the Blues, the City Blues?
Yes, well, we can't call them the Sky Blues, as we well know here in Australia. Manchester City remarkably have been the quiet achievers in the Premier League this season. Liverpool naturally have received a lot of attention.
And rightly so, the champions.
Lots of injuries, they've fallen down a bit. Manchester United, the fallen giants who are slowly awakening under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's been his head's been on the chopping block since day one essentially. And City have had their injuries, a slow start to the season. No one really paid them much attention, and now all of a sudden they find themselves on top of the table with the game in hand. The teams around them are stumbling a little bit. Even Leicester City lost this morning too, or they drew this morning with Everton.
By the way, a week ago, you and I discussed that here in the Informer's studio, and I asked you a question. Roman Abramovich, who was so tough with all his previous coaches, having sacked Mourinho twice, would he hold on to Frank Lampard, or would he go? And you said, no, he'll hold him for a little while longer. Well, that lasted basically 5 days. He's gone. And they've got a new coach, and his name is Thomas Tuchel.
Yes.
He's the German, the man who was at Paris Saint-Germain earlier this year. He's now at Stamford Bridge.
Well, I saw quite a few parallels between Solskjaer and Lampard. Both sort of came in relatively early in their managerial careers, took over a side that needed a bit of a lift. The objective wasn't to win silverware straight away for either clubs. It was about rebuilding. Lampard had a brilliant first season and then was dumped 200 million and went and recruited a few players who haven't quite got going just yet. So I thought it was a bit unfair to get rid of
So what do you
Frank.
think happened? Do you think he lost the dressing room?
I don't think he lost the dressing room. I think it was just the ruthless nature of Chelsea Football Club that demands success. And I think it was clear at the time that they weren't closing the gap between themselves and your Liverpool's and Manchester City as quickly as they would have liked. And they didn't see Frank as the one capable to do it. So they made that call and cut their losses and hopefully have found someone who can achieve that.
Well, it remains to be seen. He started this morning with a draw, a 0-0 draw, and he dropped a whole bunch of young players. Young Mount, who's been, I think he's played all 13 games, didn't turn up.
Well, Mount was someone who was quite vocal in his appreciation for
what
Lampard.
Frank had done.
So
yeah.
I think a lot of the younger boys, Tammy Abraham as well, had quite a strong bond with Frank, considering in Lampard's first season Chelsea had the transfer ban. So a lot of these younger guys, English internationals, got their chance in the Premier League.
They feel that they owe the man. Let's see what happens with Chelsea. Okay, let's bring it now closer to home, and we can see that there's been some amazing football played. In fact, there was a game last week that people are still raving about. Was it 9 goals in 90 minutes? How does that work?
Well,
how does that work?
It's remarkable. It's even more remarkable that there were 8 goals after half time.
That's right, it was 1-0 at half time.
So everyone who saw the first half went to the beach, went out, were left dumbfounded when they saw the result at full time.
I was doing some ground announcing at the MCG for the BBL cricket, and I was watching my phone going nuts, telling me that was another goal. I went, well, it can't possibly be. Can't possibly be. And yes, it was 5-4. And Western United, it'll be a proud moment for them, and a game that Perth Glory are still wondering what happened.
Well, Perth won 5-3 the following week in Perth, so they've been an incredibly entertaining side, not the defensive-minded approach that we've seen for so long under Tony Popovic.
Yeah.
You even saw it in the Asian Champions League. I think they played 2-3-all affairs with a lot of the youth, a lot more of an attacking approach, a new head coach.
Well, their coach, Richie Garcia, was an attacking player.
Yeah.
We had him, of course, in Melbourne, at Melbourne Heart in the early days. And to watch his progression and his improvement and his involvement at the Glory is most interesting. And you say often, and I think you've said it time and time again, many teams are reflections of their coaches.
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing that combative side, but they're leaking at the other end. And Tando Valafi, the former Melbourne Heart goalkeeper, is now the Perth Glory keeper, and he's up against his old team on Sunday.
Yes.
Because Victory did the dirty on Perth Glory that thought they had scored a goal, compliments of their striker, who seems to be back amongst the goals. I'm talking about the Uruguayan with that knack for goals. And yet they lost. Was it the last 8 minutes?
So Victory
2
scored
goals.
twice through Jake Brimmer, their new midfielder.
A former Perth Glory player.
Perth Glory player, of course,
Wow.
who just came this season, has done quite well in both the Champions League and in the A-League. But Perth went from doing nothing for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season due to the restrictions over
COVID
in Western Australia. So now this Sunday will be their 4th game in 12 days. So quite taxing on the bodies. They've been in Victoria for the last fortnight. They've played all Melbourne sides before they start their next block of games. So it has been quite hard for the players. They've been away from home for the last few weeks. They've only been able to train every so often. So
I must say,
quite
Perth Glory
uncomfortable.
look like a really good unit. Fornaroli, who's his strike partner that's come back?
Nick D'Agostino, the Olyroos hero.
Yeah, but the Irishman is
Andy Keogh.
Andy Keogh is back.
Yeah.
So that combative player who knows Perth Glory and Perth know him, he's making that side look pretty interesting.
He's a proven goal scorer. That season, I think it was 14-15, where Perth were on top until they breached the salary cap. He was one of the most informed strikers in the league and has continued that upwards trajectory since then. It will be a tough game on Sunday against Melbourne City. I'm anticipating Valafi to start. It's down to him or Liam Reddy, who started the first few games but was dropped for this Victory game. I thought Valafi was brilliant against Victory on the weekend.
Yes, he was. And I'm still surprised by that score. I thought Perth, especially early on, I saw a very sloppy Victory in that opening half. And they could have copped 3 or 4 goals. They didn't. And they came back with a wet sail and claimed the points, which is fantastic for them, and they're faithful because it'll give them a chance to. Who does Victory play next?
So Victory is away to Western United on Saturday night, a side they are yet to beat in the A-League.
Okay, fantastic stuff. And interestingly, who's leading the A-League? Athos Sirianos?
Well, you would have thought on first look that someone has flipped the table upside down. Because
Ray Gatt wants you to say the words. Say the words.
Central Coast Mariners, after 4 games, 3 wins, 1 loss, currently sit atop of the A-League table. Young Alukuol has killed it. He scored 3 goals in his first few games as well.
The former Western United player.
And NPL Victoria product. So he has made quite a big jump and is making plenty of noise in the professional ranks.
And the coach of the Central Coast Mariners?
Alan Stajic, he's performing very, very well. We all knew he was a fantastic coach, and with him, the Mariners needed to give him time. They've been a club that traditionally has been quite flimsy with its coaches, hasn't given them a lot of opportunities to succeed. They don't quite have the funds, but it seems like Stajic has really he's implemented a strong system, and the players have bought into it, and it's paying off dividends at the moment.
What a big week it's been in just the last few days. Athos Sirianos, if you want to know more, make sure you join us each and every week on The Informer. If not, you can join Athos and Ed or Nick Hughes on FNR, Football Nation Radio. You can always download the app. Thank you, mate. Should we leave me with one guess or tip? Will it be Victory or will it be City? Come on. Victory to beat Western United and City to beat Glory, or Glory to upset and Western United to continue this rollicking form and knock over another of the Derby opponents?
Well, I think City will defeat the Glory. I think the Glory are spent. They will be spent by Sunday, and the City has a bit more class. And I am bullish about the Victory this week. They're coming off a big win, as is Western United, but I think they'll be really keen to defeat the Western, who defeated Victory on all 3 occasions last season as well.
All right, remains to be seen. I'll see how good your tipping is.
There you go.
Athos Sirianos on The Informer. Thank you, mate.
Thanks.